Hey, all those note takers.
Hello, everybody.
Yeah.
Welcome, welcome. We might get started because we love to do these sessions fast and furious. So I'll start by introducing myself. I pretty much know you all, but for those, in case anyone's watching that haven't met yet, Cheryl Gray, CEO of Women's Network Australia. I love, this is my favourite event I love all of our events. I'm obviously biased, but I really love these. This will be our third Wisdom Well session led by Joanne Brooks, one of our incredible WNA ambassadors. And I always come away with a rich list of things that I want to do, can do, should do to improve my business and myself. And I'm sure today will be no different. The only difference is we really want to have you in the conversation and engage in the conversation and keep it very much a two-way thing. So thank you for those who are here who've turned off their microphones. We'll let Joanne give a bit of an introduction, but then feel free to take your mics off, mute, and jump in and be part of this conversation. I do acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we all meet today. I'm coming to you from Quandamooka country in southeast Queensland. And thank you, Joanne, for your time. As I said, you know, the Wisdom Well series has already given us a rich resource list. And if you're new to this session and you haven't been in those previous sessions, and we'll obviously share with you some of the fantastic ebooks and support work documents that Joanne's put together. So Joanne, welcome and thank you so much for your time.
Why, thank you. Always, always, always good to be here. And thank you, ladies, for turning up. That's amazing. And thank you for those who are going to be listening to this on a recording. I'm just going to throw straight into sharing my screen. If you just bear with me while I get myself sorted. Let this thing kick in. So please let me, the standard question, can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
I can see thumbs up. That's amazing. So this, yes. Don't you love it when there's a typo? It means I'm human. So it's March 2025.
You must have been hungry when you wrote that.
I must have been, silly girl. Anyway, it's good to see that I'm human. We all make mistakes. So this is in alignment with all the celebrations we've been doing for International Women's Day for the month. So much for and we decided to narrow in onto the identity of a leader. So you will find this month and actually next month there's going to be a leadership theme. So we're going to continue the conversation next month, but it's about unlocking the entrepreneur within every woman. So let me just continue on. I thought I'd go and find some statistics about female leaders. And I remember this, 1900, well, I don't remember the 1900s, but I remember hearing about it. Early 1900s, we couldn't open a bank account or have a business in our own name. First female business in 1911. 1980 to 1990, there was a flurry of people entering the finance and business sector, and I was one of those. I joined the banking sector in 1980, and it was very heavily female populated in a very blokey business. And in 2023, for the first time, more than 40% of new ABNs are female-led ventures. So that's pretty cool. Really, really love that. That is awesome. We should celebrate that. So as I've got here, we've gone from cupboards to boardroom, but it's only just the beginning, right? So there's a bunch of things, bunch of work that we need to do to support one another. And that's what I love about Women's Network Australia. We're here to support female leaders and business owners. And you know, Beck and Cheryl walk the talk of that every single day. So what are we going to discover today? We're going to uncover your unique leadership identity, your value, what you bring, how you create a business and a life led by purpose for yourself and every woman and girl who follows. So it's not just for you. Let's create this lovely ripple effect is my goal for this. So what if the most powerful business leaders of the next decade aren't CEOs on magazine covers, but people like you? sitting in this session, ready to lead in your own way. And your aspirations of where you want to take your business will be different from one to the next. Do I want to be on a CEO's magazine? Oh, maybe Time magazine, it'd be lovely, but I don't actually aspire to do that, but I do aspire to get my message out there. And if it means that you need to be on the front of magazine covers, so be it. But, we've got to think about, well, how do we do that? What are the things we've got to do? So one of the things we do need to step into is leadership. So I'm Joanne. I started in banking. That was not by choice. It was by me following my father's directive. I built a career, then a business, and then a $30 million business with 110 staff. Lost it in a week and rebuilt again. So what I know is there's been some massive lessons out of that journey. Leadership is about who you are when everything falls apart, and who you show up for because of how you, it's not how you show up, but it's not what you show up, but how you show. It's not what you say, it's what you do. All these things. And I know Cheryl and the team walk and talk that all the time. So I'm drawing on what I've learned over the last many years, since 1980, which let's not calculate that. That's just way too long. Let's not worry about that. That's a bloody long time. I was 18, but it was a long time. So I'm going to share with you 3 leadership secrets. So this is actually going to be an interactive piece. So hopefully all of you received an email from Beck and there were some questions to ponder. You didn't need to necessarily have come up with the answer or thought too deeply about it, but we are going to talk about it today. So this is not me talking to you for the whole time that we're together. I'm going to share you some ideas, and then we're going to share what I've done in my business, what I've set up and what Cheryl's set up in regards to speaking to these leadership secrets. And it's okay if you haven't done any work on it, but if you have some thoughts about it, we're going to open the mics and we're just going to talk about it and help each other craft some of these statement pieces that we need. So what I know, leadership is not a title, it's a choice. One of the books that I love, and I don't know if any of you are familiar with a fellow called Robin Sharma. He's got an amazing series of books that I follow all the time, and The Leader with No Title. So it's about not waiting to be picked, it's for picking yourself. So let me share with you, and through this, I'm just going to share some of my personal stories, and you're welcome to dive in for this. What I learned pretty early on in banking, I would be one of the few females in a room of blue suits and red ties. Can't tell you how many times I got asked, what do you know, girlie? Literally those words, what do you know, girlie? And I was the person facilitating a workshop to teach these fellas a bunch of things. Very interesting. Thankfully, I wasn't quite the shy, retiring person I was at 18. I was able to show them a bunch of reams of paper and say, if you can do this, you can stay. Otherwise, there's the door. I probably said it in a little bit harsher words, but I would suggest that they leave the room. Thankfully, not many people did. But I'll share a story way back to when I mentioned that I didn't get the choice of what I did with my career when I left high school at the age of 18 in 1980 on the Gold Coast. All I wanted to do was become an accountant. All I wanted to do was go to university. I've got 2 older brothers. One had taken 6 years to do his electrician's apprenticeship. And I have a next brother who took 6 years to do a 3-year pharmacy degree. So by the time it was time for me to do something, my father said, no, you're not going to university. You will go get a job in the bank. Go sit the bank exams, which I did diligently. I did that. And in those days, it was a Saturday morning on the Gold Coast. You just went and filled in a piece of paper and you sat down and did these exams, thinking that that was all I needed to do. And then he said in the next breath, actually, no, now you're going to ring every branch manager on the Gold Coast until you get a job. And so I was a person who literally did play in a cupboard. I was unbelievably shy. I couldn't say boo to a goose. But with my father standing over me, I got a job in 2 weeks. Now, the bank manager did say to me, you didn't get the best result, but you are the person who rang me every day, and I just felt I needed to give you a go. So I stayed in that banking arena for 17 years. I ended up teaching men how to write commercial and asset finance, so high-rise buildings and paint on a wall. So what I learnt unconsciously, and I only realised this lesson, sometimes you could consider me a bit of a slow learner. I learnt this lesson about 5 years ago, and that lesson was taught to me in 1980. But unconsciously, for my entire banking and corporate career, if there was a job that I needed to or wanted to go for, or a pay rise, I was the one who wrote the business case, went to the boss and said, so this is what I've done. This is what I'm going to do. And this is what I want for the pleasure of me doing this for you. Now, did I always get it? Nope. But invariably we met in the middle and we got somewhere. So I got the promotions, I got the pay rise. I was being paid way more than a lot of people in the business. But I knew from that lesson in 1980 that if I wanted something, it was up to me. You have to bloody do it yourself, because guess what? No one's going to fix this business for us. No one's going to do it for you. You might outsource it. You might do things that you delegate. And Cheryl did a fabulous post today on LinkedIn about delegation. Nice one, Cheryl.
I must have preempted the discussion.
I did love that. Very, very good. Very good. So the lesson here is it's not a title, it's a choice. You have to make the choice as to what do you need differently in your business and how are you going to turn up in front of your clients, your suppliers, your staff, anybody who engages with you. And what's a bit worrying is that 35% of women lead businesses, but only hold 22% of CEO roles in the corporate space. And what's definitely something that needs to change. Because I think this is a safe space. We could probably say there'd be a lot of challenges globally that would not have happened if there was a bunch of ladies standing or sitting around in a boardroom resolving it by conversation and negotiation and leadership than what we see currently on the news. So that's number one. Leadership is not a title, it's a choice. So it's for you to decide, how are you going to turn up? And I can talk way more about what turning up looks like. I'll do that another time. Inclusive leadership is smart leadership. Great leaders create space for others. And again, that speaks directly to Cheryl's post that she did today. And, diversity drives innovation. One of the things, again, there's lots of stories I'm just sharing amongst this, and it's not to pat me on the back, but it's just to share with you what I've learned over the years. That $30 million business that I built, I also liquidated it because there was a whole bunch of moving pieces. Perfect storm hit me and I had to liquidate it. So I had a choice at that time in November 2016. I could limp along and get closer to Christmas and then decide whether I was going to shut it down. And I made the decision that I couldn't do that to my 110 staff. I was not going to call them just before Christmas and say, you know, that thing that was going on, actually really sorry. Yeah, bugger, we're closed now. So this was before Zoom, before any of this sort of technology. And so on a conference call, 4 offices down the Eastern Seaboard, and tears going down my face, and I told them we were closing. And in the next breath, I asked them, I said, so I've got 4 offices. I need my furniture moved so we can sell it before the liquidators take hold of it. Who would be prepared to stay behind on no pay for the next week and help me do that? 99% of them stayed. That brought more tears to my eyes, and it made me really ponder, why did that happen? So I go back up to my office after this announcement, and one of the leaders comes in and he hands me a card and he says, Joanne, we bought this card yesterday. We didn't know this was going to happen today. Well, we all signed this card because we wanted for you to know that we could see that you were going through some stuff. There was some challenges happening in the business, and I had 110 staff. And they said, but we're here to support you, but I want to give it to you anyway. And what I realized was I had this pattern of behavior. Any office that I was in, I would walk through every office and say, good morning. What's your day look like? What's happening? How can I support you? What does support look like for you? That activity I know created the most amazing, beautiful culture. And it also enabled us to build a team of people who are unbelievably loyal. I remember one of my assistants, she was my assistant, and at one point in the business, I needed to put her on reception. And she was absolutely horrified, felt it was a demotion, all those sort of things. And I called her in, I said, do you actually realize you are the most important person in this business? Well, what are you talking about? I said, you are the first person who anybody hears from when they walk in that door, whether it's physically or they call or whatever. And I said, and, we've got an awards program that doesn't discriminate between whether you're emptying the bins or whether you're my EA or if it's me. We all get the same opportunity for reward and recognition in this business. And what I enjoyed seeing was her having that aha moment. she realized that, yeah, it might have felt like that, I was Joanne's EA like yesterday, and today she's asked me to go do reception duty. But when I explained to her how important it was and that she had the same opportunity for rewards, recognition, promotion as anybody in this business, it made her feel incredibly included, supported, and all those layers that you would like to think happens. So it's about, for me, when people say to me, what's a good leader? Is for me, my answer is when you turn up. And there's many, many, many layers to what turn up means. It means that you give your team, your suppliers, and you might not have teams, but you might have contractors, you might have suppliers. You've definitely got customers. It's how you turn up. It's what you're prepared to share with them as to why you've got to where you are. It's being prepared to delegate and give them permission to make mistakes. It's okay to make mistakes. So it's about creating access, not status. So again, here's another one. 1 in 5 ASX listed boards still have no female executives. We need to fix this. This is about leadership. What are your aspirations to be on an as a board member? Now, just because you're running your business doesn't mean you cannot be on a board. Hey, Cheryl's on a board. I've been on boards. It's things that you can do outside of your business and make a change, make impact. It's an opportunity for everyone. And the fact that out there, everybody knows this needs to be fixed. We need more women on boards. That is absolutely an opportunity for everyone who's here in this meeting or who is listening to this. It is not something that you need to wait for. You can do whatever you need to do to get there. You don't need to be ready. You just need to be brave. There was some post again today on LinkedIn about this perfection thing. It's not perfect yet. I'm not ready yet. Just bloody do it. Step in and have a go, right? And guess what? When you make mistakes, it means you're human. There was a spelling mistake on a slide deck. Who cares, right? Who cares? Or I posted something that I meant to schedule it. Or I sent an email to somebody, then the second you hit send, you go, oh shit, I shouldn't have sent that. That has something in it that I had in there, or it's gone to the wrong person. How many times? How many people have done that, right? Lots and lots and lots of time. So, it doesn't need to be perfect. Confidence comes with courage, and people follow presence, not perfection. The lovely thing is people, there's a lot of women that I speak to about the importance of getting on video and talking and sharing your story, getting real in front of your clients. Don't be invisible to them so they can see you. And they go, but my hair's not done, my makeup's not ready. Do you know what? They don't care. The only person who cares is you, right? And I've done video posts while I'm walking the dogs with a hat on, no makeup. If you look at me, I'm very pale. I look like I'm washed out, but I still do it because it's how I turn up. It's that phrase, turn up again. Courage is built midair, not before the leap.
Joanne, can I interrupt?
Please.
I need to just give a male perspective on this. I attended a conference session, the IPAA, and they did an on the couch session with Damien Walker, who's the Director General of the Queensland Department of Premier and Cabinet. And it was really a very personal sort of how did you get to where you are kind of thing. But he was asked about the differences between male and female leadership and opportunities, and the fact that even in the public service, there's still a low number of women who aren't able to move that the gap from being a senior public servant to an SES contract role.
Yeah.
And did he have any advice? And of course, I think it's always difficult for men to give women advice. But what he did say was, well, look, what did he do, and how could that reflect on perhaps a female approach? And he said that with a heavy dose of bravado, he would say yes to things knowing he really wasn't qualified to be able to do it, but just say yes and figure it out later. And
Yeah.
I know with a lot of our women and you know the anecdotal stories we hear that women say, no, I'm not ready yet, or yes, I'm not perfect, I can't possibly do it.
Yeah.
He also said, though, and I think we can reflect on this one, he would say yes to opportunities that made him feel nervous
Mm-hmm.
because they were likely to be the ones that would take him further and that would be interesting and challenging.
Yeah.
Whereas sometimes I think we often go, well, that I feel a bit, icky about that one.
Yes.
So I'll say no. So I think it was really interesting to just hear sort of the male perspective on whether it's right or wrong,
Yes.
but certainly a couple of differences in why he got to where he is and perhaps why some women
Mm-hmm.
are putting their hand up to go forward.
Yeah, really good points there, Cheryl. And I'm sure we've all heard those stories before. And what you're just saying there, I just had a memory flash. I remember back in 1990, this was when computers first came into the Commonwealth Bank. That's where I worked on the Gold Coast. And my boss, who was a man, came up and said, I've put you in for a job in the city. You know how to use computers, don't you? I went, no. He said, you'll be right. You'll be fine. Just go do it. And he'd already put me in. He'd organised that I'd get an allowance to move house, and the wheels were in motion altogether. My God, the first day I turned up. So this was the days of the big box, and the printers did the doc matrix paper, with all those little holes outside, and it would print all this stuff. And I had to run those for the entire department of 240 Queen Street head office on a computer. Holy cow.
But
I
you
don't
did
think
it.
I did it. I learned fast. I'm a quick study, thank goodness. And he obviously believed in me. And those are the days we were writing the transactions in the passbook. They'd go down the shooter, go ding, and you'd go grab it and you'd write it. They give you the money, you write and put a stamp on and send it, give it back to them. No computers whatsoever. But that was a man pushing me to that. And I would never have I wouldn't even have thought to look at that job, but super.
And Joanne, is that a lesson around leadership? Because we're all now in a position, and that was one of
Yeah.
the things that I did talk about in my LinkedIn post this morning is actually being that person who pushes the
Correct.
one you want to seize the opportunity, and actually just giving them a gentle nudge,
Yes.
and allowing them to do that, knowing them that yes, it's absolutely okay to fail or struggle or
Yeah.
not be confident about it, but
Mm.
demonstrating your support for them by literally pushing them out of the nest.
Exactly. No, you're dead right there. It would have been lovely if he'd been there sitting beside me while I was doing it, but we were an hour or so away. But I guess the lesson for all of us is to recognize the capability in the team that we have, whether they're employed, casual, outsourcers. Give them the chance. I know I posted on your post this morning, Cheryl, where I referenced a lesson from Brene Brown, which was TASC, TASC. So let me if I can remember. So they have the technical skills to undertake it. A is they have the authority to complete it, so they've got access to whatever they need access to. S was God, let me think about it. What was S? The skills, and C, that they have clarity. And the clarity piece was tell me back what you've heard me say. And S is also what success looks like when you know you've completed this job competently. So TASC has something that I've used every time I've delegated something to a team member who might have been feeling a bit nervous, or it's a new level of project, whatever. And if you set them up for success, right, they've got the skills, they've got the authority, they know what it looks like when it's done, and you give them clarity so they can rephrase it back to you. Such an important, like I love Brene Brown. I've done her program, Dare to Lead. Brilliant program, but it really gives you a different perspective on what it looks like to lead somebody. And that TASC, if you can remember that quick little takeaway, it is a brilliant process for you to consider when you are delegating it or outsourcing. Like even if you're just outsourcing to somebody that you've not worked with before, have that in your mind as you go through it so that you set them up for success. So now the shift needs to come. We need to look inside. So let's discover who you are as a leader. So there's a little bit of things. So it's an interactive work. So you can turn off your microphones, etc. So values and versus principles. I just want to give you a quick definition because I'm going to go and share. I've got my principles up on my website. I know Cheryl's got her values, etc. on her website. Values are what you believe, principles of how you live and lead them. Okay, so it's an extension of your values. I'm just going to look, see what the next slide tells me. So let's just quickly, I'm going to stop that, and you should still be able to see my screen. So please confirm that you can. So this is Cheryl's. She's got them loud and proud, sitting on her website, our vision and our purpose. So super, super important. I was actually interviewing somebody from an MBA project that I'm doing at the moment. And Cheryl will be keen to hear this. I was interviewing a young woman who's recently joined Women's Network Australia, and she went deliberately looking for those to understand why would she join this network? Does it align with where she is in her business, in her life, her thoughts, her processes? So I've gone to the days where you might craft this lovely statement and then shove it in a drawer. What I know, and I've done this in businesses before, I come into this business and we do a full day workshop on the entire team crafting the vision, the purpose statements, etc. Because and then what we do for the next week is they sit on a piece of flip chart paper. For everybody, as they walk past it, they can put some little corrections, some little ideas. But what that does for your team as a leader is you get buy-in. So we've all walked into the large corporate offices that have a lovely big statement sitting on a wall, and you might ask a staff member, what does that mean? And they'll go, oh, I don't know, some outsourcing group, Deloitte's put it together for us, sounded really great, have no idea what it means, which is very sad. And that's a very corporate approach to these sorts of statements. And I'll just quickly show you, not that one. This is my website. So I show mine a little bit differently. Mine have got an image, mine have got a statement, and I've also got a doing word. What does it mean, what I'm doing in my business? So I'm honest, there's no bullshit. I believe in straightforward, transparent communication. So I like values and purpose and principle statements that have a statement, but it also tells you what does it mean. And Cheryl's got that as well. So I would encourage you, so we're going to go through a little bit of an exercise. I would encourage you, if you haven't got them or if you haven't looked at them for a while, to really think about it. And you might have 3, you might have 5, you might have 10. The number I don't think matters. It's what sits well with you and what makes sense to you and what's meaningful to you. So just go back to this little baby. So why principles matter? This is a beautiful thing when you start building a team. It aligns your culture, hiring, branding, leadership, guides tough decisions and conversations, and builds a magnetic businesses. Let me tell you how well when you have these crafted, I shared these types of statements, principles, visions with people that I was collaborating with, when I was employing people, when I was finding suppliers. Particularly if you think about it from a hiring perspective, you want to bring somebody into your business, whether it's outsourcing, their contractors or whatever, that their values align with yours. How hard is it when it doesn't, right? It feels icky for them. Their stomach probably feels quite uncomfortable, and then after a while, so do you. But it's a beautiful process, a really simple process. If the behavior is not what you need it to be, you can hold them accountable and say, hey, when you came on board, you agreed with these principles. This is what we do. This is how we operate. Help me to understand this behavior compared to our values and our principles. Really nice statement, nice gentle statement. Help me to understand. How does this align? And it helps that tricky, icky conversation that you might need to have with somebody to bring them back online. And that there's been people that have left my business because they couldn't quite pin it, but I could see it that their values didn't align. And you know what? That's okay, because we can't all like everybody. This is a big world here. But what I did make a point of is going, so how can I help you find a job? Have you ever thought about offering that to a staff member who's leaving? I can tell you that that statement, we had a HR division, and I would put them in front of them and say, go find them a job. It's not working here. What can we do to help them thrive in where they're going? How many people have heard, I'm leaving, I'm going to start my own business. The person that I am, because I love business, I would celebrate that and say, what can I do to support you in that? Just thinking differently about these. So that, oh, sorry. Few more slides and then we'll get into doing it. Values driven leadership, it helps you to craft your core principles. So there's a few, you have a workbook there that has some pages. You can print it. It's an editable PDF, so you don't have to print it if you choose not to. You can write in it, but this is the piece that is so important. As I said, I used sharing these, I don't know if I've said this, but when I was looking for partners in my business to build a $30 million business, I partnered with 5 of my largest competitors. One of the things that I did was share my values and my purpose statements and where I was going. So I shared it with them and said, this is why I'm approaching you. This is why I want to do what I'm suggesting for you and I to go into business together. And a bunch of them said, no, who do you think you are? But a bunch of them said, wow, this really aligns with our business. Why wouldn't we consider continuing that conversation in what we're talking about here? So it can really serve you in building a really solid business. And for all of you, when you're in business, one of the things you must consider is your exit strategy. And having these types of foundational pieces actually adds value to your business in a financial perspective, particularly if you walk it, you talk it, you weave it through everything that you do. It's how you speak to customers, it's the experience they have, it's the legacy you leave. That's why it's so important. For me, this is a very solid foundation piece to any business. And sadly, a lot of businesses don't have them, or they don't understand them, or they haven't had the team work them together. So such an important piece. So for you, name a value, turn it into a principle and make it actionable. So for example, the value courage, we choose brave actions over safe silence. So how powerful is that? And you can steal it, you're most welcome to. You're most welcome to. But how much more powerful is a statement like that than a simple thing like you see all the values, honesty, ethics, all this stuff.
Safety. We always see
What does
safety.
it mean? What does it mean, right? Put a doing word to it. So you're welcome to jump in and throw some questions at me. Does anybody have these sort of statements already? Have you crafted them? Please come off mute and share. And there's no judgment if you haven't. Like, this is about a learning. And so maybe it's helping you to, identify something that you might put in place.
This has been really helpful, Joanne, because it is something that I haven't yet included in my communication and messaging.
Nice.
And I think when, what you said before about visibility and the thing that women really struggle with, and I'm not afraid of a microphone, but for whatever reason, this video, speaking out into the void of the platform, and that is just, it triggers every survival mechanism in my body to run, in the opposite direction.
Yes.
But it's that, but if you don't record yourself and put yourself out there and communicate in a way that people can find you and connect with you, then you've really only got that face-to-face to fall back on. Like if you don't have a digital presence, you're essentially not you're not leveraging one of the most simple, accessible, and free platforms available to all of us. But I often think none of us were given. It's almost like being like the anchor of a news show, right? Like, that's
Yes.
a whole skill set, this whole piece to camera thing.
Yeah.
I'm really comfortable in a facilitated setting. But that whole, me just talking to the world, not knowing who's listening or what they're saying or what they'll say about me behind my back and all of that stuff. So I think to put it through this lens of values and principles and actions and things that, you know, are innately your core, you can
Yes,
then speak with real courage and conviction about those things, because no one can ever have an opinion that's detrimental
exactly.
or bad about what you believe inherently and how you live those values. Like, no one's ever going to tear that down. So it's a really powerful lens through which to start communicating who you are, what you stand for, what you are about, why you've set a business up, all of those things. This access point is so timely and so spot on. So I really appreciate.
Amazing. Thank
I know
you.
you've got to duck off, but I would ask you a question, because I know that a lot of the work that you do is actually working with people and getting them to understand their values and so forth. But
Yep.
it then is the broader question, because I know a lot of us who decide to go into a business, sole trader, do I really need to bother, you know, with all of these values and principles, because it's just me anyway? You know, do you have a view on that, Joanne? Do you have a view on that? Is it as important to do for a sole trader as it is for a multinational business, even though you may not have a wall to put it on?
Doesn't matter what size you are. I think you're turning up to have people be attracted to you. So I think it doesn't matter what size you are. It's something that should be part of the foundations you think about from the moment you start curating what this business looks like. Doesn't matter whether you're bookkeeping, whether you're a networking CEO, whether you're a business resilience coach, whether you're the head of a publicly listed company. It would be lovely if those people walked and talked their values, because you don't see that very often in your large public companies. But I have to say to you that think about how many employers are in this country who are small business, and think about the ripple effect that we can create when we do this and we turn up and we show up and we do it well. So Fiona, I think you said you've got to run off, but a really quick exercise. If you're not sure how to get onto video and what to talk about, and Cheryl's heard me speak about this before, whole bunch of colored pens, blank piece of paper, write 50 things you know, really small things that you know. You now have 50 articles to talk about. Then go get your camera and speak for 2 minutes on video. That 2-minute video then can be sliced and diced about 25 ways. A social post, a blog, an article. The world's your oyster. So 50 things will give you a year's full of content that you can talk about, because when you've written it down that you know it, you're going to be passionate about it.
Can I add to
That's
that?
awesome.
One way
Thank
to
you so
do it,
much.
Fiona, if you feel uncomfortable about it, get someone like us or another person in the network to interview you.
Exactly.
You
Do
know,
it.
it's often easier. I know how hard it is. You're looking at the screen, down the barrel of the camera, and you're trying to look at this person who you're not seeing. But there's nothing wrong with just doing a two-way interview, which you can then cut the other person out and edit them out. So it really is you, but you're much more conversational style. And it does remind me that maybe that's a session that we have in our other wisdom sessions.
Yeah.
Absolutely, for sure. Amazing. Thank you so much, ladies. I've got to duck off, but I've got the workbook and I'll definitely come back to the recording to do that bit. Thanks so much, Joanne.
Fantastic. Thanks, Fiona. All righty. Leaders Manifesto. What the hell is that about? So this is the piece that was emailed to everybody, and we're, as again, take your microphones off mute. So what I would like to hear from you, or what thoughts you might have put up, and I'm happy to share mine. What part of your personality shows up in your business, and what part is left behind? And the second question, if your business was to run without you for a year, what would still feel uniquely you? So what part of my personality doesn't show up in business? I'm incredibly shy and such an introvert. It's not funny. I love people watching. And so sometimes I sit back and just observe. I don't always show up loud. That might be surprising to Cheryl, because I often am very
It is surprising to me. I would not put you in the introvert category.
Yes, I am. One of the things that, I openly share my personal story, my business story, all these sort of things where it's relevant, but in different settings, I won't show up at all. I'm very happy to sit back and be quiet. And so I have to think about, is that something that I'm leaving behind that's doing my business a disservice or my clients a disservice by not talking about that? That I am incredibly shy. My book, when I publish it, is called The Girl in the Cupboard, not because I'm coming out, I have a husband, but I spent most of my childhood in a cupboard playing because my brothers intimidated me with, they wanted me to play sports. So I was the goalie for hockey and they would hit it at me. So I go and sit in that. My mother represented Australia for hockey. So did my dad back in the 1950s. Huge sporty people. So not me. I found my safe place was in a cupboard. But lots of things happened that things changed for me. So I would love to hear if you've had any time to reflect on this or anything that just pops up, because this is really about showing up, turning up as a leader. Is there any aspect of yourself that your business needs to see? I would love to hear, please.
I can think of one, Joanne, if I, at risk of talking. Making decisions. I feel that in terms of business and what I do when I turn myself on for work, the ability to make decisions, quick decisions, is really important. Ask me what's for dinner when I finish at the end of the day and I go, oh, I don't know, like the thing I hate most in my private life is having to make decisions. So, but I know how important that is when there are people around me relying on me to be able to do something, but that needs to be someone to make a decision. And I deliberately turn that on. And I sometimes think, God, was that the right decision? Gee, I didn't put much thought into that decision. Am I equipped to make that decision? But I guess my lesson is the sort of fast decision's a good decision in many ways.
Yeah. That's a really lovely share. And I think a lot of the ladies and listeners will resonate with that. For me, my perspective of decision making, just make one based on the data that you have. And if it turns out to be a decision that didn't give you the result that you needed, what's to be learned from that? But maybe it has you arriving at a place that's unexpected and surprising and really good, right? I hear this a lot from women in business that they struggle with making decisions because they're terrified of making a bad financial decision. What if I bring this person on and it doesn't work, or if I'm going to go pay for this course and it doesn't give me the outcome? So make a well-informed decision. And I think the worst decision you can make is the one that you don't make.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Anybody else? Does anybody would like to share?
I would.
Please, Georgie.
Well,
Mariam, if we can get Georgie, and then we'll go straight to you, Mariam, if that's okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, no trouble.
So I thank you that I've been loving all of this. It gave me some ideas. So thank you. And I've known this for a long time. I do hide a lot. When I'm with people that I trust, in my like small groups but even in some of those I don't, but I'm a naturally fiery person and I can be blunt and honest and I have come with a wealth of knowledge and experience and stories, but that is not what I show up as in my business. And I know it's stopping a lot of people who I can be attracting the right people. So that's the part I leave hidden, but it's the part that needs to come in front.
Well, that's a great awareness. So thank you for sharing that, Georgie. And I guess the only question I've got for you is, what would be the consequence if you did?
Yeah, I guess that it's that that deep core of wound of being humiliated and in front of the class, in front of my dad, and it's something I've been working on for a long time. So I do step out a little bit and then I come back. So it's been an ongoing in and out process, but it's just like, but sometimes it gets so like loud and I've got so much to say and I get the opportunity when I'm, like I said, when I'm with people. But yeah, but then there's a bigger platform like Instagram, or I don't go to in-person networking events anymore. It's been like 5 years. There's lots happened. So yeah, I have pulled back a lot in terms of being seen and heard. And so, but yeah, so it took a lot of courage to come here today.
Oh, well done, you.
So,
Amazing.
Good on you, Georgie.
thank you.
Yeah, shout out to you. You know, Women's Network is a really safe place. There's a private Facebook group that you can quietly start. There's also a different way that you could do it if there's something that came to mind. You can do a faceless work on social media that you can make statements, but it's not your face on the screen. So you could gently, that's a thought.
Yeah, thank you. I've actually been doing that. I've like, it comes out, I write the statement in Canva. And normally I would outsource these things in the past, but I'm just allowing my creative side to come out.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, there's a lot of shifts. And the fact that I put my hand up and speaking, never done that before in these things. So something has shifted.
Thank you. Oh, shout out to you. Big hugs.
So thank you.
Marion.
Georgie, I know how you feel. I've got the same thing. I think most of us women
Normal.
have got that fear of looking like a fool. That's me. I have a lot to say. I have a business that can sell out tomorrow. I can't take any more, but it's my own fault where I am like you, Joanne. I am an introvert trying to push herself out.
Yeah.
And that is very hard for me. Speaking on a stage, I can't do that. I've been trying for 17 years, and I just simply can't do that because it's all in here, it's all written, but when I come out, I just see no writing, and my brain is foggy. And so the words can't come out. But talking to people in general, I'm good with that. Like in a network or something of that sort. But don't tell me to stand on the stage and get a speaker and speak. So, yeah, as I said, I think a lot of us, I'm talking about myself to start with, have got that fear.
Yeah. And it's so normal, Marion. And so I want to celebrate Georgie and Marion because you just did. You just did. Because gone are the days that public speaking is on a physical stage.
Yeah.
We do this every day. Like how many Zoom meetings or etc. are we on every day? Now, I'm mindful of time, so I'd like to just jump in quickly. And this speaks directly to having your principles and values out there and walking and talking them. So if your business had to run without you for a year, would it still feel uniquely you? So I know for me, everything, my values, my principles are woven all through everything that I do. My customer experience is everything, is all woven through workflows, through automation, all those sort of things. So yeah, it won't be the same, but it'll still have the flavor of Joanne, I'd like to think. What's your thoughts, Cheryl, for you?
Yes, I'm pondering that one. I'd love to hear Beck's perspective. I think yes, it would still have a flavor of me. But it's heavily reliant on the individuals in the business still. I think there's a lot that Women's Network is still yet to do in terms of automation and capturing that from a process flow. I think it still very much relies on individuals. And I know that, our team works really well together. I think that our ambassadors also reflect the vision and purpose piece and the values of the organization. And I know that even, with our live events, for example, people say, and it doesn't require me to be there,
Mhm.
that they do reflect a Women's Network Australia feel. So there is something there that is quite unique, but I think we've still got work to do around that, Joanne.
And I would say the same. So does anybody have any thoughts on that?
Which way, Joanne?
Go for it, Mariam.
No, I'm saying in which way?
Oh, so let's put if you suddenly had to step away from your business and the business still was continuing to function, would it still feel uniquely you? Would it still have your ethos, your feel, your vibe, your tone? If you weren't physically there and someone else was running it for you, your team was running it for you.
if it's kept that way and hasn't changed, if I'm in the background, just telling them what, how I like it done, because of the values, because of the culture, because then I'll see that it will have a flavor of me ongoing. But I don't know what will happen if they change the recipe.
Yeah.
Let's
Yeah,
say.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that sort of leads to something that, I speak to a lot of women and they call their business Joanne Brooks Proprietary Limited, and they are their business, right? And so often women will ask me, or business owners will ask me, so what happens when I sell it? Because I am my business. So one of the things that and this is the foundation piece of it, is putting in principles and values that stand the depths of time, but also systems and processes, because one day your exit strategy might be, Amanda, to sell your bookkeeping business, or to Cheryl to sell Women's Network, whatever, or me to sell Navigate. I deliberately didn't put my name in my business because I don't want it to be reliant on me. My long-term vision is that I can sell it. And so you have to therefore put in these foundational pieces, because we all want to leave a legacy, right? We all want to leave and have an impact and have all that lovely feeling that, damn, we did a good job. I've earned a good living out of it. I've got a great lifestyle and I've impacted my clients in a positive way. And now it's time for somebody else to take the helm. So you need to think about these things as you are building your business. And again, I will say it again, these foundation pieces actually put physical dollar value in your business. They are not things that are fluffy, that they're just nice to have. If you want to do something with this business when you're done with it, and you want to get the ROI that you need to retire, to move on, to do the next thing that you want, you don't want to get to that point and go, oh, damn it, I didn't do the things that I needed to do back then. This is really important foundational pieces. I'm just going to see what other parts I've got on this slide. So in the workbook, I'm mindful of time. You've got some statements that you might want to work towards. I stand for. I believe leadership means. I commit to. I show up by. These are great statements for you to ponder, to think about, will help you craft those principle statements and start putting in your foundation pieces to your business. So it is in your workbook too. Please jump into them. As I said, they're their heart. I feel principles are the heartbeat of your business and they're your compass. It's how you interact with your staff, your contractors, how you network, how you work with clients. It's everything, and it also helps you to make the tough calls. One of the things these things also enable you to do is to say no. They also enable you to say yes. Right? It might be that it sounds amazing, lots of money, lots of everything, and you go, actually, it doesn't align with my values, doesn't feel good. I'm going to say no. It helps you to make that decision. So you just weave it through everything that you're doing in your business. You don't need to wait. You don't need more time. You just need to choose. Because when you lead with identity, everything changes for you. And as I learned back in 2016, everybody's watching. Everybody is watching. Those that matter are watching. So what do we learn? Leadership is a choice. Inclusive leadership is strong leadership, and bravery trumps readiness every time. So I think the last slide is just to let you know that we're continuing the conversation of leadership next month, heart-centered leadership. So we're just going to go do a bit of a deeper dive into leadership. And ladies, you want to connect with me, grab the QR code that will let you book in with and have a conversation. I love having conversations with women in business. Love to know what you're doing, how I can help, how I can support you. Please let me know. And that is, I'm going to stop sharing. That is it. We're pretty close to time. Thank you.
Thank you, Joanne. Another amazing session. I know there's lots to think about. I think Renee's mentioned hasn't got the workbook. We'll get back to make sure we get that to you, Renee, because it's a fantastic resource. And thanks to Joanne for her generosity in sharing these resources with you. And for you in your time today being part of this session, obviously connect with Joanne directly or shoot us an email here at Women's Network Australia. Looking forward to next month's Wisdom Well and continuing the conversation around leadership. Leadership is not just for big companies, it's for everyone. That would be my take. It's leadership is something we all need to have us in our toolkit as part of what we do every day. Congratulations, Georgie, for being part of today's session and for speaking up, part of your ongoing journey, and we look forward to presenting you with more opportunities to be able to do that in future. Have an awesome day. Thank you so much, and great to see you all.
See you all. Ta-da. Bye.
Bye now.